So, welcome to all our guests today that are watching this video. And our special guest today is Sascha Pallenberg, a German guy who's living in Taipei, Taiwan. Sascha, your core focus is on communication technology and digital transformation. After a career at Daimler AG, now Mercedes-Benz Group, you started your successful business as blogger and influencer. Since 2021, you are Chief Awareness Officer at Aware, the platform that supports companies to educate and involve all employees to successfully navigate the transformation and to sustainability. Thanks for spending your time with us, Sascha. It's a great honor.
Thank you so much, Roswitha. Thank you.
We now heard several buzzwords like digital transformation, sustainability, and influencer. So, what's the link that connects these terms to unconditional basic income? And why do you
Mm.
personally think that UBI is a good idea?
Mhm. Well, even though based on my career in blogging, and this is definitely something that I define myself as a tech blogger, and I'm pretty sure that I influence a lot of people. I wouldn't call myself an influencer because I think that's kind of different business and has a lot to do with who's going to pay you to tell you what kind of narrative and distribute opinions on products and whatever throughout the various channels. But to be honest, I don't really believe that digital transformation is a buzzword whatsoever. It turned into a buzzword, let's say like 10, 15 years ago. You know, I'm 53 years old. My first wristwatch was a digital watch in the 70s. My first pocket calculator was the digital calculator from Casio in the 70s. By the way, it's the same company that also made my first digital wristwatch. So therefore, I really don't buy into this idea that digital transformation is something that we are pretty much still have to consider in terms of the status of this progress and the process that we're going through. Digital transformation has been happening for decades. And therefore, I truly believe that there is no difference anymore in an analog or in a digital world. There's just one world out there. And the way we're going to use analog or digital tools is just a matter of what we're going to do with them and how we're going to integrate them into our daily lives. When it comes to sustainability, I truly believe that the fundamental idea of digital transformation is sustainability. Because what does it mean to optimize a previous analog process into something digital? This is all about becoming more efficient, becoming faster, using less energy, and using less men and women power to come to the same results, or maybe even better results. So the fundamental idea is that digital transformation or the digitalization of a progress or a process is to turn it into very, very sustainable process. It's also, by the way, much easier to monitor a digital process and to actually figure out, is it sustainable or not? Because I know each and every step, right? I can visualize this. I know exactly how much energy we have to get through this and what different modules are going to draw which amount of energy, how big the overall energy consumption is. So it really helped us a lot to understand evolutionary processes in the last 40 or 50 years. Being a blogger and writing about technology for way over 2 decades. So when the first time I got online was in the mid 80s when I was like 12 or 13 years old. Pre-World Wide Web at that time. You just have to dial up a direct connection to a computer, which was absolutely fascinating for me. That my computer, my little home computer at home, could connect to a computer on the west coast of the United States, and I could just share information and I can read information. It was absolutely mind blowing. It was like a science fiction movie to me, and it really drew me into this world of computers and turned me into the geek and nerd that I am. Writing about these evolutionary processes, writing about products, writing about trends and hypes, and analyzing this. Actually, it's quite interesting because like 10 minutes before I got onto your call, I just published an article on the Stargate project. The Stargate project is something that the new Trump administration just announced yesterday. And this is about how to set up an AI infrastructure in the United States and how to make sure that they're going to build this AI dominance in the Western, not only in the Western world, a global AI dominance. And to figure out what kind of implications this would have on the rest of the world. What would this mean for Europe? What would this mean for our lives, especially because we are so dependent when it comes to any kind of digital platforms and digital devices, whether we're dependent from Asia, where I live for over 16 years now, or we are dependent on, especially when it comes to software platforms and ecosystems, we're very, very dependent on the US. And now they are making this next huge step to take advantage of these mega companies that were created in, let's say, the 70s and 80s. And some of them are even like very, very new, or like especially when you look at a company like OpenAI, which will also be part of this Stargate project. They were founded about a decade ago. Yeah, I think in 2015. So I love to write about technology because I always believed in the idea that technology will change the world for the good. Yeah. So maybe you can just put me in a category of being a tech romantic. And I probably am. Technology itself is not biased at all. Yeah. It can't lean to any kind of side, whether centrist, leftist, or right-wing side. Technology itself is non-biased. The way we developed technology in the past, and this is where we can talk about this digital transformation again, was always about to become more efficient and to help us somehow. And for hundreds of years, even before we even talked about the idea of having computers, which is, by the way, also an idea that is hundreds of years old. So if you combine these both ideas of the digitization of this world, the biggest threat that mankind ever faced, which is the climate change and the need and the demand of the effort of all of us to not turn it into a climate catastrophe. And the idea of letting people know that we could still be hopeful, that there are so many amazing things to discover. And this is why I started to write about it. So maybe that's the influential part when it comes to this idea. But yeah, I think that's my very, very basic mantra, that I do believe that the technology will change the world for the good. I also do believe that there are a lot of bad actors out there that use technology to not do that, to actually have quite the opposite impact on mankind. And well, here we are, right? And we try to figure out new solutions. We try to have new perspectives on societies and how these are going to evolve and develop in the future, and how we maybe, and I guess this is also an experience or a time of my life where my perspective changed a lot, especially by the late 80s, when the wall came down, when the Eastern Bloc just tumbled and crumbled, and when Europe got together. And I was like, I was a teenager in my early 20s, and I had this amazing a chance of um, being able to travel Europe without any borders and to have this amazing and very, very hopeful and of course also very naive idea of, you know what? I think we made it, right? It's
Mhm.
all over now. We don't have these superpowers that were just constantly gearing up to potentially kill themselves and this planet, like, I don't know, a couple of dozen times. Um, it seems that they all came to senses and that we are looking forward into a bright and peaceful future. Well, and here we are,
Mhm.
3 decades later, and it feels like we did the full 360, and we are basically in the same situation that we had during the Cold War.
Yeah, yeah, we had a window of opportunity, and as you said, it turned around now under other circumstances because technology or digital technology didn't play a big role when the wall came down. But now we have this digital wall all over the world or all between us, wherever it's everywhere. Yeah, it's in every it's even in the on the South Pole because also there are researchers using digital technology, so there is no escape from it. And you said that technology itself is innocent, if I can put it in
Basically,
these
yeah.
words, because yeah, it doesn't have intentions, but it's us who are working with it that have intentions, and it's the what I find is that the people with intentions working with technology are just a few. And there are so many people around this world, billions of people don't have access to work or to change the developments. So I guess the threat is in my yeah. I'm not into I'm not a specialist in technologies, so I see it more as a kind of a threat. You are into technology and you know what you can do or you can't do. So do you think yeah, it's hard to get the connects now to UBI. Um, if the people who are working with technology, who are playing on the screws, don't want UBI, would it be possible to be implemented?
Technology itself is a big enabler, right? It gives you, or let's say the technology that we are talking about in these days are probably our most personal devices like our smartphone, right?
Mhm.
So we have this amazing chance to carry the wisdom of mankind in the palm of our hands and in our pockets.
Mhm.
But this has a lot to do with access. So how many people do have access to information? Therefore, I also truly believe that information always has to be free. I also truly believe that a fast internet access needs to be free. It should be a human right for people to have an internet access, and so that they can reach out to all these platforms, that they can go onto Wikipedia, right, and see one of the biggest gifts of mankind, that
Mhm.
this kind of collaborative approach of wisdom, the crowd wisdom
Yeah.
of creating an encyclopedia with all kinds of different perspectives, but fact-based and for free. That's absolutely astonishing. So access is very, very important. Of course, we have a lot of gatekeepers that are making an insane amount of money with information. They're making an insane amount of money with the distribution channels and also with these accesses to these various platforms. And then there is majority of people, especially in the global south, that obviously never ever had the same chance to begin with when it comes to this race for global digitization, for the internet, who is going to be the next big player or whatnot. Because at that time, when all these things were developed, they didn't even have the infrastructure over there. They hardly have them right now. But I still believe, right? I've been to projects in Mali to bring computers to school childrens over there, and I remember a time when people were just walking around just with a SIM card of their phone. That was their smallest device. And then, you know what, there were just kind of other vendors or traders just stopping by at these villages and handing out phones to them at that time so they can use their SIM card and make calls and also use these phones actually to trade, which was super interesting because these were all prepaid cards. And for example, they traded in a gold into 300 or 600 minutes or phone calls on their card. So the limitation made them quite innovative in terms of how they're going to use this technology. But the real problem is that they don't have the same access to all the potentials in the world that the so-called developed world has, especially in the western part of it. And this is, of course, a huge disadvantage. And there's a huge advantage for all these mega companies and this is why I came up also with this article that I just wrote, because the AI race is going to be the next big divider because it will have a huge impact on the global workforce.
Mhm.
So these companies that have the chance with these insane amounts of investments, these billions and not billions, we're talking about hundreds of billions. No? So this Stargate project is that's an investment amount of 500 billion US dollars. That's a full German household for 1 year. It's an annual German household for a year in the German parliament. So they have the chance to invest so much money in this infrastructure and computing performance, and they can build new businesses on top of it that don't even need any human employees and workers anymore. I know how it looks like over here in the chip factories here in Taiwan, right? When I worked in the car industry, when you go into one of these big fabs in the car industry, it looks like out of a science fiction movie, right? This is almost completely autonomous. So we need to figure out ways of how to tax those companies, in my opinion, in a different way. How are we going to come up with ideas of taxations for machines so that these value chains that these machines are creating and these ecosystems will also contribute to the higher good, which is mankind.
Mhm.
And that other human beings that weren't so fortunate to be born in the white part of this world, whatever right part means,
Mhm.
can also participate in this wealth. And therefore, there is just no other solution than to think about a different system, think about a universal basic income, and how we're going to contribute it to those that are in need and that don't have a chance to compete on this global market for talents because they don't have the access to this global market of talents.
Yeah, I understand your way of thinking about the machine tax, which is always also in discussion when it comes to how to finance UBI for everybody. But still, there must be a will behind to make people participate, to give them the money. I think it may be then also in the interest of the powerful people who are holding AI, who are holding the money, who can transform the world. Because if nobody has money to buy the cars that are produced by robots, where will the profit come from? If most of the people don't have money to buy goods, why should they produce it? So it may be an intrinsic motivation of those who are holding the companies. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, I truly believe that this is also a matter of how we're going to define our systems and our societies. I mean, we live in a monetary system right
Mhm.
now. And, don't get me wrong, I'm still a capitalist because right now, especially in the way the world looks like right now, I
Mhm.
still believe that if we would all have the same starting point, right? It gives each and every individual being the most opportunities and possibilities to thrive. But I also believe this is why I mentioned the climate change and the looming climate catastrophe. We are also developing towards a threat for mankind that needs us to rethink our perspective on a monetary system and maybe have this kind of evolutionary development into a resource-based society where people actually don't have to work, where we have machines that are doing the work. And well, of course, you can still work, right? No matter what. Feel free. But if we have a chance to change value chains into platforms, ecosystems, and whatnot that are maybe like digitized, maybe fully autonomously run by robots and machines. And the taxation of these machines helps us to contribute all of these earnings towards the society. This could create a system where no one really has to work. And so the idea of a UBI is, in my opinion, the first step towards a resource-based society, and a very, very important step. And I think the experience that various field studies and projects in the context of UBI is giving us clearly shows that it's not like that people would just kind of, you know what, hang around and turn into couch potatoes and
Mhm.
watch like Netflix for 12 hours a day and don't even have this mindset or even a single thought about how they can still contribute to societies. Um, I think we have prime examples for this, that this could actually work out.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm convinced that people are self-motivated to be creative, build something with their hands, or as you said, contribute to society in some way. But when you're talking about robots doing all our work, what kind of work are you talking about? Because there are also works that can't be made by robots. I could
For
imagine
example,
people working with people,
mhm,
services. For
mhm,
example, you can, of course, pamper or serve elderly people in some way with robots, but you can't substitute the personal contact, the human
mhm,
contact, the
mhm.
caressment and the affection.
That's
So,
a that's a very Western perspective on machines and robots. There's a reason, for example, why Japan's been a leader in robotics for many, many years. Because in Shintoism, there is an idea of things having a soul.
mhm,
And when you look at how Japanese people also interact with machines, it's completely different. I mean, there were already like breaking news like 20 years ago when some guy thought it would be a good idea to marry a puppet.
mhm,
Yeah, or you have avatars over there, and people are telling you, you know what, I'm in a relationship with this kind of digital person or whatnot.
mhm,
Um, it's when we look at the status quo of machines and robots, it's just a matter of months. It's not it's not about years anymore. Now we're talking months. That we see progresses that are going to blow our minds and that are going to change the way we look at machines. This is again this kind of tech romantic talking about how machines could look like in the future. But when we look at popular science fiction literature, humanoid robots, androids, it's been around for decades, and the idea that they are going to be very, very human-like is that's something that is almost like 100 years old, and we're moving towards this goal. I hear you. I hear you in terms of how we gonna define empathy from a machine, um, how we how we actually see the demand that people really need this empathy. Of course they do. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to have a chance to, at some every while and then cry their heart out towards another human being and feel understood. Um, but I truly believe that just in this decade alone, we are going to see machines where it will be so hard for us to be able to tell the difference between them and a human being. I know it sounds spooky and scary, yeah, and it is. It truly is. But that's more like a fact, right? I'm very, very rational and pragmatic when it comes to this.
mhm,
And then I also believe that we will, in this kind of first wave of how we're going to change our societies into a resource based one, it would be such a huge advantage and such an amazing development if we have more machines that are 99% human-like, to help us in the care industry, help us taking care of people. Because you know what, I mean, just when you look at in this into this industry, first of all, they are highly underpaid.
Yeah,
Those workers, yeah,
sure. Yeah.
they are overworked like
Yeah.
crazy
Mm-hmm.
because there are not enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to have this kind of support, in my opinion. This would be a first step.
Mm-hmm.
A second step would obviously, if we have a chance that less people need to work, I truly believe that we can also figure out new ways of living together and ways of interacting
Mm-hmm. Sure.
also with the elders. Because out of a sudden, you know what? I mean, there's so many families, you know, they're putting their elders, or they're just basically leaving their elders alone because they don't have time for them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big chance.
So
I agree.
yeah, it's a huge
Mm-hmm.
transformational process that
Mm-hmm.
we have to go through, and I I'm really at the point right now of my life where I just have to say nothing is impossible anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't about kind of bragging about an amazing future with robots and AI or whatnot. No, it scares the living daylight out of me. Um, but we need to find ways of how we're going to evolve and how we're going to live side by side with these developments. And it's going to happen because we can't stop it.
Yeah, that's true. We can't stop it, and it's like when people found the knife, you can stab someone with the knife, and you can slice your bread. So it's
Yeah,
always
exactly.
how you use
Exactly.
technology. So we just can be hopeful that the people responsible and the people in power are making the right decisions for the best of all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we nearly came to the end of our session. Well, thank you very much. It was some things were a bit scary, some things
So
calmed
again,
me down.
I don't want to scare you.
No, no, no,
I
no.
think it's very, very important that we are
Aware.
that we are aware of these developments.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. But I truly believe that these developments can lead us to the idea of a UBI, can lead us to a resource-based society of the future. Because we need to make sure how we gonna value work of machines and how we gonna put the taxations on them that we don't undervalue work of human beings anymore, and that we also going to make sure that these human beings that don't have the access to all of these ecosystems and infrastructures and all of these technologies are not left behind, because this digital gap is getting wider and wider.
Mhm.
And you know what, the top 10,000 of this world are getting richer and richer,
Yeah,
now to insane amounts of wealth.
yeah.
And so we need to come up with a solution,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's going to haunt us in the future.
Yeah. Let's summarize it like this. The technologies, as you said, it's a big source of knowledge. And we need to use this knowledge to create the path for the future. So
Yeah,
thank you
that's
very
a good
much
one.
for your input and for your point of view, being really into the tech industry and making us think how we can use technologies for the better of all of us.
You're very welcome, Roswitha. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Sascha, and try to work on technology for the benefit of all of us.
That's the
Thank you.
spirit. Bye.
Bye, bye.